Hello and welcome, or welcome back. This is your Newsmax Daily for Tuesday, February the 11th, 2025. It's the 42nd day of the year and Safer Internet Day, launched back in 2004 by the European Union's Safe Borders Project to promote safer and more responsible use of online technologies. Today is also National Latte Day, so if you've been cutting back on the extra $6, $7, $8 a day or the calories, today would be the day to indulge in a latte. If you're dealing with severe weather in your part of the country, there are still 37 more days until spring. In the nation's capital, where they are bracing for more severe weather, President Trump is hosting the King and Crown Prince of Jordan at the White House today. Jordan, remember, is one of the two countries President Trump is trying to convince to accept Palestinians from Gaza. Their Oval Office meeting and lunch is closed to the press, but we will most likely get comments when the King and Crown Prince depart the White House later this afternoon. The president is also saying if Hamas doesn't release all of the hostages by midday Saturday, the ceasefire deal should be canceled altogether.
That's Israel's decision, but as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out.
Let hell break out. You never know, but I have a feeling we'll see some hostages released before noon on Saturday. This coming after Hamas failed to release hostages on the agreed-upon schedule, and after the meeting with the King and Crown Prince, Trump will then sit down to sign yet even more executive orders. Did you catch this one yesterday?
Next, this is an executive order relating to the use of paper straws. As you've consistently identified, nobody really likes paper straws.
Number one trending. Can you believe it? A paper straw was number one trending for 3 days or something.
The environmental impact of plastic straws versus paper straws is entirely unclear. This has cost both the government and private industry an absolute ton of money and left consumers all over the country wildly dissatisfied with their straws. So we're asking aspects of the federal government, federal departments and agencies to look at their existing procurement processes, and we're asking your Domestic Policy Council to look holistically at this issue to address it, and it really is something that affects ordinary Americans in their everyday lives.
We're going back to plastic straws. These things don't work. I've had them many times, and on occasion they break, they explode. If something's hot, they don't last very long, like a matter of minutes, sometimes a matter of seconds. It's a ridiculous situation. So we're going back to plastic straws. I think it's okay.
The president also doled out another pardon for former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich, who back in 2011 was convicted of corruption-related crimes, including trying to sell a U.S. Senate seat, the seat that had been vacated by former President Barack Obama, the one-term senator. Blagojevich served 8 years of his 14-year sentence before his sentence was commuted by President Trump during Trump's first term. Now the pardon removes the conviction totally. Blagojevich was also fired from Donald Trump's Apprentice show in 2010 after he was impeached as governor, but before he was convicted of trying to sell the Senate seat. Speaking of the Senate, reluctantly or not, Republicans are coming around and have advanced Tulsi Gabbard's nomination to become Director of National Intelligence. A 52-46 vote yesterday. Republican Tom Tillis of North Carolina and Democrat John Fetterman of Pennsylvania did not vote. This, however, does pave the way for a final vote later this week, and RFK's chances of being confirmed also increased with Susan Collins, a previous holdout, now saying she will vote for Kennedy as HHS secretary. So, it's the same thing all the time, right? It's a big circus act, a lot of grandstanding, people trying to make a name for themselves, people trying to get, highlights, but eventually we get there. This morning, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced that he's changing the name of Fort Liberty Military Base in North Carolina back to Fort Bragg. If you're not in those circles, you may not have even known it was changed from Fort Bragg. And Democrats continue their failing and very suspect tirade against the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and Elon Musk. You must ask yourself again, why? Why are they more concerned about what Elon Musk is doing than they are concerned about what Elon Musk is finding? That was the topic of conversation on Finnerty last night with guest host Bob Brooks of American Agenda.
You know what I think is pretty fun right now? Watching Democrats making themselves look insane. Certainly seems like after the first 3 weeks of the Trump presidency, they have finally come up with some type of counteroffensive to Trump. And this is what it looks like, at least to me. It's tapping into their wheelhouse of creating the most extreme hypothetical narrative that they can. It's the same type of behavior that lost them the November election and eroded their base with every demographic. Even failing CNN knows this. They conducted a poll recently, and this is what it revealed, everyone. A 58% majority of Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents say the Democratic Party needs major changes or to be completely reformed. But the leaders of their party are doubling down on being extreme. So this is how I wanted to kick off the week. Let's do this tonight. Let's visit some of the best sound bites from the leading Democrats circling around the media ether as of late. And first up, we have Jamie Raskin.
Elon Musk has much bigger plans than Donald Trump, who, we know just wants to become the richest person in the world and get all the attention. But Elon Musk would really like to completely overthrow our system of government and move us into some kind of techno monarchy under the geniuses of Silicon Valley.
Okay, so the congressman, he's coming up with Trump is only president again to become the world's richest man. And Elon Musk is an evil billionaire who wants to take over the United States and then the world after that. All right. Doesn't that seem a little extreme? Maybe Elon Musk just wants to cut waste. I don't know. Here's another. Senator Andy Kim from New Jersey, apparently he's on board for shutting down the government, something once considered taboo and unthinkable by Democrats, in order to prevent Trump and his team from doing exactly what they campaigned on.
Are you prepared to shut down the government, to join Democratic colleagues who want to stand in the way of keeping the government open?
Well, you have to look at what the Trump administration is doing right now. They are simply trying to, they are simply trying to dismantle the government. So yes, look, if we have to take steps to be able to hold them accountable, use the leverage that we have to force it, I cannot support efforts that will continue this lawlessness that we're seeing when it comes to this administration's actions.
You see, only now it's okay to shut down the government. We have another one, Elizabeth Warren trying to act clever before the Super Bowl and blaming Trump for inflation.
It's Super Bowl Sunday, and here's a reminder that Donald Trump has done pretty much nothing to lower your grocery costs.
He's been president for 3 weeks. Cure record inflation in 3 weeks. Convenient for Democrats to use inflation to their advantage now, huh? I think it's fantastic, though. Let them implode and look crazy and keep losing voters. So the way I'm reading things is like this, everybody. Trump and everyone he campaigned with are doing exactly what they said they're going to do. I know that sounds like a pretty plain statement, but that's it. Democrats, they can't take it. When it comes to DOGE, which is driving them absolutely nuts, I want to say this. Trump told us this was going to be big when he announced it. It was this, quote, "It will become potentially the Manhattan Project of our time." This is a big deal. So it's no surprise that some people are having a hard time with it. People don't handle change well, and they really don't like it when change is going to expose everything that they've done. So now judges and attorneys, they're all getting involved. Democrats are putting up all kind of roadblocks. But hey, I'll tell you what, everybody, I'm here for it. You should be too. The more they fight against the will of the American people, which right now is laser focused on finding out what our taxpayer money is being spent on, the worse they're going to look, the more extreme they're going to look. And I don't think they can help it. 3 weeks into the presidency, and they already have gone to the courts. Won't let it happen. You think about that.
That's Newsmax host Bob Brooks. The conversation continued on Rob Schmitt Tonight with Congressman Jim Jordan, who has been a big advocate of Elon Musk and the DOGE.
These are the people that wanted to give 80,000 IRS agents and just shove them right up all our butts and audit us to hell and back. Go ahead.
Right. Attack the guy who's exposing the stupid spending instead of addressing the stupid spending. That's the Democrats' mantra. And they use all kinds of big words like constitutional crisis, which they've said about President Trump. I mean, I remember when they said 8 years ago that the Trump-Russia collusion, which was a big hoax, that was the biggest constitutional crisis ever. So this is the typical left. And by the way, Elon Musk is every bit as much a federal employee as those 80,000 IRS agents. The guys who work for Elon Musk are every bit as much a federal employee as the career bureaucrats who are supposedly so much smarter than us regular people. This is a fundamental problem the left has. They actually think the bureaucrats run the country. You and I think, and the American people believe, no. Under our constitutional systems, it's the guy who puts his name on a ballot who actually gets to make the decisions. And he said, Elon Musk is my guy, his team, they're federal employees, they're allowed to go look. And the idea that this judge said that even the Treasury Secretary couldn't see this is crazy. Like, that's the guy who was confirmed by the Senate, nominated by the guy who got 77 million votes, and he can't even see it. Just shows you how crazy the left has become. Yeah, and it really shows you. I mean, there's so much angst, I guess, towards governments, you know, and rightly so. And when you think about how much money gets pumped into that city, and then you see so much of it being thrown away, and then to watch them, to watch how they behave when all of this is exposed, and to see their rhetoric and the way that they talk, this has got to be turning off the American people rapidly. That party's already in the toilet. I think they're going to fall further as all this gets exposed. I want to show you this. This was Senator Chris Coons. If we can skip ahead here, guys. I think he was on CNN, and he effectively is defending a lot of the ridiculous, wasteful spending. He's talking about Sesame Street, I think, in Iraq. Just take a listen to this.
Is funding Sesame Street a judicious use of soft power?
This isn't just funding a kid show for children, millions of children in countries like Iraq. It's a show that helps teach values. It's pennies on the dollar.
Pennies on the dollar. So, I mean, I get it. Sesame Street, right? It's good for kids, and it'd be nice. But I mean, are we supposed to just start paying for the entire world? We have to raise all the children of the world.
Of course not. No, of course not. And I just disagree with the premise. I don't know that Big Bird and Bert and Ernie are all that beneficial to the people in Baghdad. Certainly not a great use of American tax dollars, it seems, in my opinion. My guess is the families in the 4th District of Ohio, which I get the privilege of representing, my guess is most of them would say the same thing. That's stupid. Stop it. Oh, by the way, we have a $36 trillion debt. Stop it. Spend my money in more efficient ways. That's exactly what President Trump said he was going to do when he ran for the job. 77 million people appointed him, or not elected him, and now he's appointed Elon Musk to as a federal employee to figure this all out.
Yeah.
God bless them all for doing it.
Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio, and there is some news from Ohio. Governor Mike DeWine has nominated former Ohio State football coach Jim Tressel as his next lieutenant governor after he appointed the current lieutenant governor to J.D. Vance's Senate seat. J.D. Vance also attended Ohio State. Tressel most recently served as the president of Youngstown State University before he retired in 2023. And Florida's popular Lieutenant Governor, Jeanette Nunez, stepped down yesterday to lead Florida International University in Miami, which is her alma mater. But now I'm wondering, as I was reading this, if this is all coincidental timing or if she was hoping to be appointed to Marco Rubio's seat, which Governor DeSantis gave to Attorney General Ashley Moody, who is now Senator Moody. You heard her on the Newsmax Daily a few days ago talking about Pam Bondi. I know Jeanette Nunez and DeSantis have a very, very good relationship, but now it makes me wonder if she was hoping to get the Senate seat, and maybe that's why she resigned. All right, and more on DOGE. We can't pass up some commentary from Carl Higbie.
This just gets crazier and crazier. What did I tell you like 2 weeks ago? Lawfare, that's all they got. And the audacity of the left is really amazing to me. They don't care about standards, they don't care about authority, or even the Constitution, or what might happen to them. I mean, they never have any consequences, so why would they care? They are fighting tooth and nail to stop all of Trump's stuff, from DOGE or any other cuts to government reforms. Today, an Obama-appointed judge, from Rhode Island no less, went even further and told the Trump administration that he has to effectively keep giving unaccountable money away. He just basically, he said, Trump, you can't freeze any more of this spending. And the stuff you did freeze is unfrozen. I mean, most Democrats are like applauding this, like, even though they don't even know where the money is going. So odd that anyone would fight to spend more taxpayer dollars, don't you think? Hey, someone once said something about this. Oh, yes, it was about 15 years ago. Oh, it was Elizabeth Warren with the same bad haircut.
You know, when that much money disappears, it's usually because somebody broke some laws somewhere. But if we don't look, if we don't ask, if we don't uncover it and make it all public, we'll never find out.
What changed? Democrats were all about cuts then, but now they're not? Why? And because they're not getting what they want, they just declare it's a constitutional crisis. And according to Ilhan Omar, who oversees the #1 terrorist recruiting capital of America, she's just mad that the $2 billion that was going to Somalia from USAID will be cut off.
Yeah, I mean, what we are witnessing is a constitutional crisis. We are seeing an executive branch that has decided that they are no longer going to abide by the Constitution in honoring Congress's role in the creation of the agencies, in their role in deciding where money is allocated.
Whatever. I mean, this woman wouldn't know the Constitution if it smacked her in the side of the head. Democrats are the most selective people. First off, I never heard her raise any concerns about the authority in which DOGE was operating under before. A little fun fact here, you may not know this, but that office was actually created by, drumroll please, Barack Obama, who founded it as the U.S. Digital Service Office to correct the $2 billion failure of his healthcare.gov website. Their own website that is still the same from when Biden's time was in there, saying, quote, bringing private sector best practices to the federal government. Private industry knows how to work fast, lean, and keep focus on the user. User being the taxpayer here. The left is freaking out about the very type of employees it was designed to attract. Their memorandum from Obama explicitly exempted them from ordinary hiring rules to attract Silicon Valley types like this guy, Luke Ferrator, who's now on DOGE. He was awarded $250 grand for writing a code that programmed AI to decode ancient scrolls of Pompeii. That's a smart kid. Maybe if he called himself, I don't know, like a woman, stole their clothing at baggage claims all over the airports and ran our nuclear waste department, Democrats would love him. More from their website. Quote, we collaborate with public servants throughout the government to address some of the most critical needs and ultimately deliver a better governmental experience to people. We work across multiple agencies and bring best practices from our various disciplines. Wow. Thanks, Obama. That sounds an awful lot like DOGE to me. Yet they're getting stopped by judges in every corner. I mean, could you imagine if Democrats had won this past election? Can you imagine what they would be doing right now? This is when they're not in power. Essentially saying that non-elected bureaucrats really are in control, which is exactly why Trump won, because we are so tired of this stuff. The left's argument here is that no one elected Elon Musk. That's such a terrible, stupid argument. No one elected the ATF. No one elected the head of USAID. No one elected the head of the EPA or the other heads of 400 agencies we have, but they did whatever they wanted. They stomped all over my rights.
I know. Amazing, right? Brings me back to the old saying, the more you know, the less you believe. And if you didn't already know, Carl Higbie is the host of Frontline, 5 p.m. Eastern on Newsmax. Speaking of judges, yesterday I mentioned a federal judge in Boston looking at the DOGE buyouts of federal employees. Judge O'Toole extended his pause of the plan. I'm not making that up. That's his name, O'Toole. He said the pause would continue until he could rule on the legality of Trump's plan. And Newsmax border correspondent Jaeson Jones made a rare in-studio appearance to discuss the Trump administration's border policies. This is host Tom Basili.
President Trump has declared a total elimination policy against cartels and transnational criminal organizations, ordering federal agencies to dismantle them completely. I'm joined now by border correspondent Jaeson Jones, who is here in the New York studio. You're really digging into this. What is this going to mean? It's going to be a massive operation, something like we've never seen before, certainly not in the last 4 years. Talk to us about it a bit. And I know that you sat down with the head of the DEA in New York.
It's been a pretty busy last 72 hours, I'll tell you. Gone from Washington to now here in New York, going back to Washington today. Look, Tom, it's good to be with you. It's been a while since I've been here, so
it's good to see you.
We're in a whole new world, and the folks watching right now need to understand that. In the old days, we would say about these cartels and these organizations, we're going to disrupt them, we're going to dismantle them. Mm-hmm. The new policy is just, as you said, total elimination. The game has completely shifted, and I sat down with Derek Maltz, who is now the administrator of the Drug Enforcement Administration. Mm-hmm. They are going after them, not only domestically, but globally. Yesterday, just sat down with the special agent in charge, one hell of a guy, Frank Tarantino. He runs the largest field division in the world here in New York City. Now, I've got a clip here from him, but listen to what he says about how many countries these cartels are now operating in. Stunning.
Let's take a look.
Tell me about the threat that you face here in New York City.
Jason, synthetic opioids, more specifically fentanyl, is the greatest threat we have ever faced in drug law enforcement. And it's primarily because of the precursor chemicals that originate in India and China that are smuggled into Mexico and then synthesized in these super labs and then processed into both fentanyl powder and pills that's flowing into the United States and killing Americans at catastrophic and record rates.
When we talk about fentanyl, what is the overall kind of that DEA is seeing here?
What we're seeing is pretty consistent with what the United States is seeing, and that is 70% of our overdose deaths are directly related to fentanyl, and roughly 30% of that is related to methamphetamine. And we've indicted people out of mainland China. We've indicted companies out of mainland China. We've targeted people in Mexico, and we've been successful in bringing some of them to justice.
What are the two primary cartels that you see here in New York City?
Yeah, Jason, so the two most dominant cartels that are causing the most harm in New York City are the Sinaloa cartel and the CJNG, or the Jalisco cartel. And we are working tirelessly every single day with our prosecutors from the U.S. Attorney's offices and all of our partners in the federal government to bring them to justice. Here in New York and across DEA, we've mapped this threat. We know that the cartels are operating in 65 countries around the world, and we're working tirelessly every single day.
I'm sorry, did you say 65 countries?
65 countries.
That's incredible. I think the audience right now listening to you is going to be stunned by that. Yeah. 65 nations. Right now, the Mexican cartels and the transnational criminal organizations responsible for so much of this pain are watching you. Do you have a message for them?
We are one team with one purpose and one mission. We have a shared responsibility and a common purpose to eliminate the cartels, the Sinaloa and CJNG, and any other cartel that's influencing and causing deaths in the United States of America. We will protect the homeland, and we will hold you accountable.
65 countries. And here's the thing, Jason. Our government allowed this to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not new information. It was information that he was prevented from really seriously acting on.
That's well said. And not only that, you and I have talked for years.
Yeah.
Everything we had with this open border policy, this could have been prevented all along. Look, Trump has been in office weeks. We were averaging 10,000 encounters at your southern border a day. The day before yesterday, 396. To the folks watching right now, your border is secure when it comes to people crossing illegally. Now what they've got to work on is the drugs.
Yeah.
Because the Halcon network who works with these cartels is very good and very sophisticated. You're seeing the military build up right now. They're going to lock that.
I just wonder in my remaining seconds with you whether or not that Democrat mayors in these big cities where the cartels are operating, and they are operating in all of our major cities, whether or not they will cooperate with federal law enforcement to get this done. I think it's an open question as to whether or not they do.
I think it's well said, but also we're going to show the great work of DEA and what they've been doing and not been allowed to show previously, because when Americans see what this agency has been doing, not only domestically but globally, they're going to be stunned.
Newsmax border correspondent Jaeson Jones live in studio. Yes, he said we were averaging 10,000 encounters a day at the southern border. He has been on the southern border every single day. And now already, since Trump took office, 3 weeks and shut down the border, there were 396 encounters on Sunday. 10,000 to less than 400. The Biden administration could have easily done the same thing if they really wanted to. And there was another fatal plane crash yesterday afternoon. Did you catch this? Happened between two private jets at Scottsdale Municipal Airport when a Learjet 35A arriving from Austin, Texas, hit another jet while landing. One person was killed, several others were injured. Turns out the arriving jet that crashed into the other jet is owned by Motley Crue singer Vince Neil, who was not on the plane at the time of the crash, but his girlfriend was. She's one of the people that's been hospitalized. Vince Neil, who does a tremendous amount of charity work and raises a tremendous amount of money, was a contestant on Trump's Celebrity Apprentice several years ago. I think his team actually won that one, and he raised a record amount of money then. On Wall Street, stocks opened in the red after closing sharply higher Monday. Investors are waiting to hear what Fed Chairman Jerome Powell is going to tell the Senate Banking Committee today. And he'll be talking to the House Financial Services Committee tomorrow. That's when the shaving cream could really hit the fan. A few thousand Meta workers, that's Facebook and Instagram, were notified by email yesterday that they are being laid off. The layoffs are part of the 5% reduction in workforce that was announced a few weeks ago. Meta said the people being laid off are considered to be, quote, the lowest performers. But you would imagine that they'll be getting a pretty sweet severance package, right? And Elon Musk is leading a group of investors offering to buy OpenAI, you know that company, the makers of ChatGPT, for $100 billion. The takeover bid was submitted to OpenAI's board of directors yesterday. According to Elon Musk's attorney, OpenAI is currently a nonprofit run by Sam Altman. Even if you don't know the company, you probably know or have heard about Sam Altman. At the time of this recording, Bitcoin was a few $100 lower, right at $97,000. Ethereum down $12 at $2,666. XRP was up 4 cents at $2.47. Stay up to date on all the news and all of the breaking developments throughout the day on Newsmax, N2, and Newsmax.com. Once again, there will be plenty of breaking developments. As I mentioned, I expect to hear some comments from President Trump and perhaps the King of Jordan when the King and Prince leave the White House this afternoon, and also Trump will be signing more executive orders. I'm Tony Marino. Thank you for listening to the Newsmax Daily. As always, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And heads up, there are 3 more days until Valentine's Day. Don't miss that. And keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.